Homeowners are missing out on a very, very viable strategy. And so when you look at this strategy, guess what? Unaffordability or lack of affordability just becomes an excuse because we can't pull this off. I'm joined today by JG Francoeur, CEO and co-founder of Visture Property Group out of Southern Ontario, Peterborough specifically. JG, thanks for joining me.
Hey, thanks for having me, Patrick. I'm excited because, this strategy, which I've been talking about, this kind of strategy, this kind of tactic for years now, but it was more in the just investor space. Homeowners are starting to pay attention, and I'm so excited.
Well, here's a couple things around it, right? When we look at what's going on in the real estate market, it's all doom and gloom headlines. Investors are bad and they're out of the market. And of course, when we really break it down, it is fundamentally the condo market that is melting down. No question about that. But the detached housing market, as much as it's soft from the peaks, which of course, all the, what do we call that? Doom and gloom headlines, are focused on, we're down 25% from the peaks, which was just 2 or 3 years ago. The point being is that, yes, affordability continues to be an issue, but there are really viable issues or viable solutions. And on top of that, it can create a financial future in a cool kind of way. And what are we talking about? We're talking about coach homes. We're talking about ADUs, the opportunity to buy a home, live in a home, and gain the affordability because you have the additional dwelling unit. In this case, we're talking about coach homes. Some would refer to it as laneway homes, as well as a basement suite. So the next thing you know, you've got
garden suites. Some people call them garden suites.
Yeah. So these are all ways to subsidize. So if you're a individual or a family that's having trouble getting into the market, this is a viable option. So let's break this down a little bit. Tell me a little bit about coach homes. This is something that you've specialized in over the past, several years, but really got focused the past couple of years. So give me a little bit of a breakdown of what the heck we're talking about.
So first of all, a coach home is all about turning your backyard, turn your backyard into cash. Turn your backyard into a revenue generating asset and build an ADU or an accessory dwelling unit, which means a separate building, and make it a rental. Now, what's fascinating, Patrick, about this conversation is this tactic is really starting to grow some legs, because when you and I started talking about this and started doing this, it was simple. We would teach investors and homeowners how to take their backyard and turn it into a revenue generating asset, build a rental, rent that rental, and then earn that revenue. And that's still an incredible opportunity for investors and homeowners alike. But it's going now, people are getting creative. People are building ADUs and coach homes because, let's just say, like, the family's getting divorced and the husband or wife doesn't want to live obviously in the house anymore, but they don't want to live like in another property, like, down the street or in another town. People are building ADUs for the purposes of keeping the family unit together, but not in the same house. That's pretty creative, Patrick. I'm starting to see more and more of that. I'm starting to see a ton of people building ADUs to get their kids into the real estate market. So mom and dad are saying, let's build an ADU. Son or daughter who's now 25, 30, 35 years old, how about you get out of the house, go live in the ADU, and get yourself a roommate, get yourself, and they're turning that into an opportunity for the son or daughter to build equity in the property. And this also helps mom and dad start to exit out of the property, which is fascinating. So these are two kind of recent changes in the tactic, if you will, Patrick, that I've been seeing gaining more and more popularity. And what's important, and this is why I'm doing these coach home tours for people, and I only do them a couple times a year, and we're doing 3 of them in September with a variety of partners. I'll touch on that in a second. But the reason we're doing these right now is because people have there's a lot of misnomers around these coach homes. People think they're tiny homes. People have all these preconceived notions, and most of them are 100% wrong. What most people think a coach home is wrong, and I want to show them what's right.
Okay, so let's break this down a little bit. So first off, from a homeowner or those individuals that say, I can't get in because it's too expensive, let's just break down a little bit of math. You got a house, you've got a basement suite in it. Let's say it's generating $1,200, $1,400 a month in rental income. Is that a fair kind of
More than that. A bit. The average basement suite that we have in our portfolio, as well as for our clients, is generally somewhere between $1,800 and $2,200 a month.
Okay, so let's just kind of put it in the middle. So 24 grand a year rental revenue in just the basement suite. We add a coach home. What's it going to cost me to build a coach home that's, let's say, 1,000 square feet? 800 square feet?
The average right now, the average coach home, I just had one that I'm building personally for myself and some of our partners. Budget came in yesterday, $241,000, all in, complete, done, rented, tenanted, the whole thing for under 250, 241 if I remember right.
Okay, and so what am I going to get for rent on that?
Somewhere between 23 and 2,500 a month, about 30 grand a year.
30 grand a year. So now you're up to $55,000 a year. Now, when you look at the lot, what did you pay for the house and the lot? Let's just do a little bit of quick math, kind of napkin math, if you will.
Yeah. For the house and the lot right now in Peterborough, you can pick up a lot of these places for $525, $500, $550.
So you're in for 800 grand. Let's say 800 for, and you're going to have to put a basement suite in it. So let's say 900 grand. You're all in 900,000. You got a nice bungalow.
Less than that, even, Patrick, less than that. Somewhere between 800 and 850 typically.
So now with interest rates the way they are, mortgage qualifications the way they are, all of a sudden you've added what, 50 grand, at least 50 or 60 grand a year of revenue on top of your income, because if you're living in that space, banks are generally going to give you 100% rental offset. Even in worst case scenario, it's probably 50 or 60% rental offset. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. Totally. Most of them right now are doing 100% offset. And Patrick, that is like, let's just say, just to translate what you're saying for the average person, that's like saying you're going to add a $54,000 to your net income. So let's just say you make, 150 grand as a family, a mom makes 75 grand, dad makes 75 grand. You're going to add 55 grand to the bottom line. So now it looks like you're earning over $200,000 to the bank because this rental is actually generating real revenue for you.
So 100%. So all of a sudden you've got this piece of property. Now there's going to be a little bit of pushback, I know, because people go, well, no, I want my backyard. But if you're buying the right property and you do turnkey, so somebody could actually reach out to you, go on the tour that you've got coming up this month, and you may even have a property that is already turnkey, ready to go. Buy this. Is I don't know what you've got going on. I mean, you're doing some tours. We do tours. The way we do our tours, Patrick, great question. The way we do our tours, we're showing other people's projects, whether like it's a project that Visture has done. Sometimes I'm the owner of that project. Sometimes I'm not. The one I'm showing off actually this month is not a project that I own. We did this for a client. We don't have turnkey projects that we sell, but we can facilitate the entire process for people. Right from, we work with realtors that'll facilitate the sale. We have mortgage agents that'll facilitate the financing. And then we then take it from there. We do all the renovations, all the rentals, everything can be done for you. From that point forward, literally, we're just dropping cash in your bank account every single month. It's magical. And the point I guess I'm trying to make here is that when you buy the right lot and it's laid out the way, because you got to be very strategic in what you're buying and the way the lot is laid out, etc. You still have room for a backyard, and the units that you can build are very nice looking. It's not like you got some shack in your backyard. It's actually a really nice space. So on top of that, you are now fully invested in Canadian real estate. You own that, you live in it, and it eventually can become part of an investor portfolio. So whether you're a homeowner or you're an investor, this strategy is becoming the way to make the math work, make it pencil, as they say, because these are the challenges that we're facing with the real estate market. Now, anything I'm stepping over here, JG?
No, I mean, I think you're nailing it, Patrick. The important thing for people to understand is that there's a lot of scary parts of this process when it's all happening in your mind, which is why I'm pushing people to say, listen, come to this coach home tour and come and physically see this. Patrick, I remember the day I took you to the one coach home we did on Cartier, and you were blown away, and you've been doing real estate for 40 years, and you were blown away, like, wow, this thing's amazing.
It did. It looked good. That was my point around it, is the way that you set it up. It looked great. And it wasn't, and I mean, it was a really nice lot that you had found and that you had bought. And I think that anybody's that going to get into this strategy, you got to take the time, align with the right realtor so that you can in fact find that lot. And by the way, because you're based in Peterborough and or surrounding area, anybody that's happened to be seeing this particular segment that we're doing right now, it doesn't matter where you are in Canada, in the country, this is a strategy that is proven and it works. And it also creates financial futures because you're actually building the possibility of owning this unit as an asset that you own that cash flows in the future. And then you can go to that, kind of dream home that you might have. This is a really nice step to get into the housing market, offset your income by having rental income. I mean, it's a really great way to get into the market. So as much as people are complaining that affordability, I can't get my kids in, blah, 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 all the rest of it, I understand that, by the way. And I'm not minimizing the kind of irritation or frustration with that. But the point is, you have to pivot with what's going on in the market. And right now, what's going on in the market is it allows you to do that. And so as much as you're based in Southern Ontario / Peterborough surrounding area, this strategy works anywhere.
Yeah, we serve markets from Oshawa to Peterborough to Lindsay, Aurelia, Barrie, and kind of that northern part of the Golden Horseshoe, if you will. But yeah, and Patrick, you're absolutely right that it's so critical that this, for a lot of people, people ask me all the time, JG, how do you create financial freedom? And I say one of the best ways to create financial freedom is create a situation where you don't have to pay for your own mortgage. And that's what this helps people do. So we're attracting both investors and homeowners because investors are saying, listen, this is brilliant. I have this single family home or I have this duplex. I can easily add a third unit to this. The answer is yes. But homeowners are starting to see this as well with all these various tactics that are coming out. Like we're working with a family right now, Patrick, a beautiful family on the outskirts of Peterborough. They had this gorgeous workshop. Mom and dad built their dream house like 15, 20 years ago. They have this gorgeous workshop, 2-car garage. And mom and dad were listening to one of these videos like this one right here and was saying, you know what, maybe we should turn this into a coach home for their daughter. So that's what they've been working towards. Now, we started that project probably about 75 days ago, and they're about to move in. Like we're heading into flooring, paint, and the finishes right now, and it's exciting. I mean, these projects can happen really, really quickly. If people are ready to move fast, we can certainly move fast, and it's a great way to build an exciting financial future, not only for the parents but also for the kids and for the entire family unit, if you will.
So, folks, if you're watching this, JG's got a couple tours or 3 tours, I think, in September. The point is this, is that if you can't see it in your mind or you're kind of questioning it, I have toured JG's properties. I know kind of what it looks like, what it feels like. I've seen this model work. It does work from an investor point of view and or a homeowner point of view. So you want to get out. The links to the register for these tours in Peterborough this month are in the description. So I would encourage you to register, go out, get a feel for it, get a look at it, ask JG and his team all of the questions of what it takes to do this. And let's face it, JG, this is your specialty. So you can share a lot of insights. And if somebody wants to, hire Visture to do a project, that's what you're there for. But you're also there to support anybody who's got a project that they're out of province or they're out of city, out of Peterborough. At least go look at the unit and start to get a feel for what they're all about. Is there anything you want to add to that narrative around what you're going to be doing on the tours?
The last thing I'll say on that, Patrick, is at the tours, we share the numbers, we share the financials, we show people financially how these kinds of deals work and how because most people think, again, like I said, it's very scary in the mind, right? So a lot of times people think, how am I going to do this? Like, where am I going to get $250,000 to build this thing? We will show you how you can take some of the equity in your property and then build this, and how that whole thing works out actually very, very well for your property. In fact, it's a tax positive way to generate additional revenue and additional income and to maximize the asset you have called one piece of real estate. And so we show the numbers, but then most importantly, We take you to an actual property and we show you an actual project to show you how it started, where it's at now. And the good news is in September, we're going to be showing you a finished project, which often I can't do because they move so quickly. They often get rented and
You're in the middle of
today, I'm actually going to show a finished project and it looks incredible, Patrick. And you're going to see exactly the kinds of things you're talking about, Patrick, how everyone has their yard. Everyone has parking space. Like, this is not just about jamming a house in a backyard. This is about developing that piece of property to its optimal potential. And that's a skill. That's an art. That's what we've perfected. And that's what we want to show people how to do.
So let's shine a light on the elephant in the room, which is all the headlines going, Ontario is melting down, the housing market's coming to an end, nobody's going to make any money, foreclosures are going to shut everybody down, this is a housing bubble, it's going to collapse 50%. So tiresome. I don't want to minimize the impact of some people in the condo market, but I'm not here to talk about condos. We, of course, we're giving people and telling people don't invest in pre-construction condos. We were saying that years ago. But that aside, the single family detached, so 5 units or less, exactly what we're talking about here. This is an opportunity to get into a home. This is an opportunity to own a very nice revenue property if you're an investor. At the end of the day, here's what we believe. Given monetary policy, given the devaluation, decoupling of the dollar, given where fiat currency is going into the future, we must own stores of value and hard assets. Real estate still is that hard asset. You have to have a long-term view. And so for those who bought in 2022 or 2023, whatever the peak was, and now they feel like they're upside down, you're only upside down if you have to sell tomorrow. And there are some people that have to, but ultimately, if you've got a long-term view, you're in the money.
Yeah, absolutely, Patrick. And there's a lot of people who bought underperforming assets in 2022, 2023, and 2021. There's people who bought underperforming assets in 1996. I mean, shit, I was talking to a guy yesterday who literally bought an underperforming asset in 1996. And one of the ways to turn those underperforming assets is to do exactly what we're teaching you. And in fact, Patrick, I'm doing this myself. There's a property that I purchased in 2022. It was not the peak of the market. It was about 6 months later, and I thought we were getting towards the end of the market, but now we've been trading kind of sideways for some time. Point is I thought I would purchase it, renovate it, and resell it. I haven't been able to resell it for what I want, so I'm doing exactly this. I've recently converted it to a 2-unit. I added a basement suite. I have now 2 incomes coming from there. I'm going to add a 3rd income, and I'm going to turn the garage into a suite. And then I'm going to add a coach home at the back for a total of 4 units. So we're going to take this single family money losing property into a 4-unit money making monster. And it's going to be pretty awesome. So I'm doing this firsthand, Patrick, and I'm happy to share that journey with people.
Well, this is such a proven model, and I just want to shine a light on one other thing. So if you're an investor listening to this, understand one thing that we're seeing, and we talk about this on our Rein It In segments that we do, JG, which is we see where the multifamily space is being overbuilt. Now, I just came off of the Real Estate Investor Conference in Edmonton, and I've kind of given everybody a heads up. A lot of money has come into that multifamily space. You're going to see rents soften. You're going to see vacancy rates increase, all the rest of it. But here's the kicker. Here's the strategy. This is different because it is a bungalow. It's got a basement suite in it. It's got a laneway. It is a totally different model, and you're not playing in that multifamily space that I think over the next couple of years is going to go through the transition of just being overbuilt. And so you're going to have to be very aggressive in your marketing. You're going to have nice units. You're going to struggle to keep the rents up. Whereas this is giving people the place that they want to live. They got a backyard. They can walk in and out to their car. It's easy. So this is a very proven strategy. I'm concerned, for example, in the Edmonton market, Calgary's already felt it. The overbuilding of infill, those sixplex, 8plex kind of units. A lot of those things are coming on the market, and I think it's going to be very competitive. This is different, and I think this is what's going to set you apart. And for homeowners, this is the house hack that, everybody needs to pay attention to if you want to own that home, as well as build that financial future with a real estate in your portfolio. That's my view of it. JG, as we wrap it up, anything you want to add?
Last thing, Patrick, is we are right now, at the time we're shooting this video, we do have a couple tours that are happening. We encourage people to come out, and we do tours once in a while. So if you're seeing this video after the tour has taken place, don't hesitate to still reach out to us, and we'll walk you through the process. And just because we now may not be doing a tour with 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 people, the biggest tour we've ever done was, I think, 30 people just a couple of months ago. It was huge. It was packed. But even if we don't have a tour that's ongoing, reach out to us and we'll show you some projects we have ongoing. We'll paint that picture for you, and we'll show you what this is looking like. And again, that's part of our mission here at Visture Property Group, is to help solve the housing crisis. And we think coach homes and ARUs, ADUs, and this model we have to offer is one of the ways we can help solve the housing crisis.
And this is a proven model, by the way. You've done this. Many have done it, but you've really got it down to a science. I encourage you to go check it out. Now, one thing I'm going to leave on this note, I will leave this thought process for everybody. And we say it all the time. There is no bad time to invest in real estate. There's just the wrong strategy given what's going on economically. And in the coming years, real estate will continue to be a great store of value, a great asset to own. You just have to shift the strategy so you don't get caught up in the fray and the overbuilding situations that are going on. This strategy is proven, and it will continue to be a great strategy into the future. JG, thank you so much for your time, for your insights. Folks, click on the link in the description, get registered, go and see a coach home in real life, get your questions answered about this strategy. JG, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, Patrick.